Hi guys, welcome to this podcast, specifically around MIT and what MIT does and how we do it and how you guys can make money selling MIT. So to start with, what you can see on the screen, how many of you seen that before? I'm sure there's quite a few of you. My Excel stopped working. That's a fairly common issue with IT. And what you normally do if that happens. So the answer to that normally is you phone your IT department. The whole point of MIT is that we become the IT department for the customer, end to end, from effectively the firewall up until the desktop. We look after the complete holistic IT environment at a customer's premises. It doesn't matter if they're countrywide, just in one center. We can look after them across the whole country. And at the end of the day, everybody needs IT. So just a couple of things about me. My name is Barry Kemp. I'm the head of managed IT at Vox. I've been in IT for about 20 years, so I've seen quite a few different phases of the IT landscape, particularly the move to the cloud in the last few years. And I'm an IT evangelist. I love seeing how IT can help companies, specifically 365 and those sort of technologies, and how they can improve our customers' lives. So just a couple of background on managed IT and where it fits into the overall market. So we've seen quite a few different custom IT strategies evolve and come in. The key being is the customer going to the cloud? That's quite a key different strategy. Almost every company in the country is looking at some sort of cloud strategy, and it makes what it means is that we need to be in the forefront of our customers' planning when they go to move into the cloud. You'll also have some customers that will decide not to move to the cloud and keep their stuff on-prem. That's fine, 100%. We can look after them either way. And that might be a bunch of different reasons. Maybe they're worried about the security in the cloud. Maybe they're concerned that their data isn't in their control. Maybe it's a cost thing that they view the cloud as being more expensive than stuff that they have on site. And then the third option is a hybrid. So a customer decides I'll put some stuff in the cloud and some stuff, keep it on premise. That's probably the most common IT strategy used today, and we can support them across both those different environments. Whether it's in the cloud or on-prem, we'll look after the whole lot. The next one is a skills shortage in South Africa. So at the moment, there's 70,000 IT jobs that aren't being filled at the moment due to skill shortages. It's a huge problem in the country. And that's where managed IT fits in, because we have a lot of skills in different areas, and we can sort of consolidate them into helping a customer with whatever problem they might have. So instead of a customer having to hire a firewall engineer, an exchange engineer, a server engineer, a desktop engineer, they can get services from us, and we can provide all of those skills in one package. Much more cost effective for the customer, and we can help them on their IT journey. Then economic instability. This is quite a big issue at the moment. We've all seen what's happened with load shedding with Eskom, and partly because of that, Eskom has increased their rates by 300% in the last 5 years. So it's becoming more and more expensive to run IT equipment, and we need to be looking at ways to make that more efficient. If that's moving to the cloud, that's one way of doing it. It might be moving stuff to a semi-cloud hybrid solution. Those sort of options are available. The other side of it is the rand and the dollar. The rand and the dollar has increased in the last couple of sort of 2 or 3 years with all the things that are happening in South Africa, and that makes it more and more expensive to buy IT hardware. That's why we can offer things like HaaS, hardware as a service, where we can provide a rental service on hardware without having to outlay that huge capital expenditure up front. And then security threats. South Africa is the third highest cybercrime in the world, and what that means is that if you're not looking after the customer security holistically, you're leaving the customer at risk. And that's end-to-end, from the firewall down to antivirus on the desktops, security on the firewall, on the servers, and email security on the inbound email. We need to look at the whole stack. And having a managed provider that can look after all of those different security components is very important for customers. So how do we do that? So we do that with assessments. And we have 3 main types of assessments that I'm going to touch on now. The first one is an IT assessment. So in that assessment, we go into the customer's environment, we have a look at the overall picture, and we highlight to the customer their risks in their business. We've just launched a new tool to do that, which is on the screen now. The left-hand side is a summary that we would send to a customer. It gives an overall picture of where that customer's environment is. Red is obviously bad, yellow is medium, and green is okay. And that left-hand summary gets split out into infrastructure, security, managed support and services, and telecommunications. So what I've done is I've given you the infrastructure detail view on the right-hand side. So some of the questions we ask, for example, the server, is it older than 5 years, out of warranty, not running a supported operating system? Things like backup, are they still on manual backup tapes or no backups? Those are sort of some of the questions we ask. It gets quite granular on the customer's environment, and then it comes up with an IT score, an audit score, which you'll see on the bottom, the right-hand side as the audit score. Obviously, we want to get our customers to 100%. And what we would do is once we've done this audit and we've presented to the customer and hopefully signed them up as a customer, we do this audit again every quarter so that we can update the customer on where the infrastructure has moved to. So that's also part of the sort of consultant engagement that we do. The other two assessments that we look after, that we do, is a CTAP. So that's a cyber threat assessment program assessment. That's specifically around the firewalls on the customer site. Ideally, if they don't have firewall from Vox, we would put that device in, and we would then give them an assessment of what their current firewall is doing. It's a very powerful assessment because it gives the customer what's happening on the environment, whether their firewall is actually configured correctly, do they have holes in their security. Quite valuable insights that we can then use to sell them a firewall or FortiGates with a managed service, that sort of thing. Sorry, let me just quickly do this, because apparently my screen sharing is not working. Okay, let's see if that helps things. That looks better. Okay, so you guys probably didn't see the summary that I explained earlier. So this is the summary now. It should be on your screens momentarily. Okay, so let me touch on that again. Left-hand side is the summary. It's in a set of blocks, 27 blocks for each section. And that will then, still not up. Okay, just give us a few seconds just so we get this resolved.
Do you want to maybe try directly sharing it through?
Okay, so you should be able to see the summary on the screen now. The left-hand side is the summary with an audit score, like I explained earlier. And then the right-hand side is the detail of each of those different sections. Okay, sorry, we seem to have been some more issues.
Maybe share through your webinar.
Okay, let's try this again. I'm just going to leave it in the PowerPoint presentation view there. Okay, so the summary on the left-hand side gives an overall picture of the customer's environment. The whole point here is we want to try and get it to 100%. The right-hand side gives some of the detail for each of the sections, the infrastructure, security, managed services, and telecommunications. And so there'll be a audit detail page for each of those 4 different options. If the customer doesn't have telecommunications or we're not concerned about it, we can disable that, but the other 3 are there permanently. And like I said earlier, things like servers, it gives you the options, things like the server's over 5 years old and out of warranty, and is running a non-supported operating system. Those are some of the questions we would ask. Okay, then just to touch on the other 2 assessments, the CTAP, so that's the firewall one, and then the third one is the cloud readiness assessment. With that assessment, we go into the customer's environment, we run some software on the environment, on the servers, and that allows us to determine what their readiness is to move those services to the cloud. That is quite a comprehensive assessment. It can take the form of some other software tools which we have, which can actually tell us whether the applications are dependent on other services in the environment. And in that way, we can move the right service to the cloud. What is quite important in that exercise is to be able to right-size the servers. If you just take your current on-site infrastructure and move it straight up into the cloud without right-sizing it, customers are going to end up paying more than they should. You need to size it for the cloud, because in general, the cloud is more efficient with its resources than when it's on-prem on-site. So those are the 3 IT assessments. I'm going to quickly run through the MIT stack, the managed IT stack, and talk through the different components. So a couple of things that we base our core offering on. One is monitoring and alerting. So that allows us to make sure that a customer's site is running, that they have the correct alerts for things like disk space, hard drives being full, CPU usage that's high, services that's stopped, and we use software to do that. We also then have the consulting and VCIO engagement. VCIO stands for Virtual Chief Operations Officer, and that's more of a consultant engagement with the customer to determine where the IT strategy is going, how they're going to get there, what the correct roadmap is for the IT, and we help them plan that journey. So the first one is managed server. So that's where we do server support for a customer. Server support, we also do proactive monitoring on the server, patching, all of those sort of key features of the managed services environment. Just give me 2 seconds. Yeah. Okay, so managed server. So there we look after patching, we automatically update the patches, make sure that the server's running correctly, do proactive maintenance, things like disk checks, that sort of thing, and generally make sure the server's running correctly. The next one is managed desktop. Very similar to managed server, except it's on the desktop level. Most of you are used to it because that's what you use day to day. So there we make sure things like the hard drives hasn't run out of space. We do proactive automations like running a disk check, defrags, those sort of things. Also patching of Microsoft updates, as well as about 55 other third-party updates that we do. Things like Adobe, Chrome, Firefox, those sort of things, making sure that the whole machine is up to date. A offshoot of that managed desktop environment is something which I touched on earlier called HaaS, Hardware as a Service. And that's where we offer refurbished equipment as a rental to a customer. Much more cost effective than a normal asset finance. And it allows the customer to replace the equipment regularly with the guaranteed 24-hour turnaround if there's a problem with the machine, which means they don't have to deal with HP's warranty service or any of those sort of things that can be quite tiresome. The next one's managed network. So we look after customers' network environment, things like switches, their actual network, making sure that the switches are running correctly, they don't have loops or bottlenecks or anything like that on the network. Also, you use Enable to manage that, to be able to pull reports, to see what the uptime is on the network, and make sure it's running correctly. It's vitally important that the networks are running correctly. Even if you're running everything in the cloud, you still need your local network to be able to get to the cloud. So it's very important that your local network is running correctly. Managed security. So that comes in a couple of different forms. Managed firewall is probably the one that's been that most of you are used to. So we provide a managed firewall service where we do proactive reporting on the firewall. We check the firewall rules, make sure there's nothing that's been allowed that shouldn't be, and make sure that the firmware on the firewall is up to date. Part of managed security is also managed Mimecast, where we look after the Mimecast environment, making sure it's set up correctly, report to the customer on how it's configured, and we'll go and sit with the customer and ask them run through some questions on whether the environment's set up correctly, if there's anything else that we need to do that they're looking at that Mimecast offers, that we can enable that as well. It also does antivirus. Normally we package antivirus into our managed service desktop offering. That way we make sure that a customer has the right antivirus and isn't going to be vulnerable to some sort of malware or that sort of thing. What's quite important when you talk about security and managed security is that it's a layered approach. There's not one solution that'll save a customer from ransomware, for example. They would need antivirus running correctly, email security, firewalls, and then, and we'll touch on in a second, a backup that's working reliably. That neatly brings me to my next topic, which is managed backup. So on a managed backup product, Vox sells a unmanaged backup product, which is just the licensing and the storage. Managed backup is designed around making sure that we monitor the backups for the customer, make sure there's no issues with the backup, that they run successfully. And if there's a problem, we alert the customer to the problem and look at what remediation steps we can take to resolve the issue. We found in the past that customers that don't have managed backup, they sort of almost fire and forget their backups. And 3 months down the line, they have a problem. They try to restore something and it's not working. So this is a way to make sure that it gets monitored on a 24/7 basis, making sure that it will run. And if they do need a recovery because they've been hit by something like ransomware, that we can recover those devices and servers correctly. Next up is managed email. So we offer a couple of different managed email products. Probably the first one we've ever offered is On-Prem Exchange, where we manage the on-premise Exchange server for a customer. We've been doing that for many years, and we've got quite a few skilled resources in the Exchange environment, all the way from Exchange 2007 up to Exchange 2016. So a lot of experience there. We can run it either in our cloud as a completely off-site managed service or on the customer's premises where they've got an existing Exchange environment. In fact, one of our customers, they lost both the Exchange administrators in the space of a week. So in that customer, all we look after is the email, but we're fully responsible for the Exchange server and the running of that Exchange server. We also offer managed 365. We'll be offering in a month or two's time, managed Office 365, where we look after the entire end-to-end 365 stack for the customer. Email is one component, but also a lot of the other side, making sure that the environment's set up correctly, because 365 is a very powerful product, and it can be set up to be very, very secure, but it does take a bit of tweaking to make sure it's running correctly. Cloud migrations. So we're actually quite strong at the email side of cloud migrations. We've done around 4,500 mailboxes into Office 365 to date. That's from on-premise Exchange servers, third-party cloud providers, other cloud providers like Gmail and Hosted Exchange, and just normal pop mailboxes up into 365. Very, very strong on that side of things. We can also do things like normal server migrations, so taking a server, moving it into either our cloud in VDC or into Azure. We can do either of those two. It's normally sort of scoped on a case-by-case basis, depending on what the customer requires and how the implementation is going to work. But we're comfortable in doing either of those offerings. Then managed cloud. So with the proliferation of cloud services, things like the VDC that we offer, Azure, AWS, those sort of things, it's becoming more and more important that somebody manages that from our perspective, it's managed correctly. It's a very easy way to lose a lot of money by just going straight into the cloud and not managing it correctly. Because the ease of use and the ease of bringing up a server, and the way that most server models work, including our VDC and Azure and AWS, you normally build per hour for your server. And if you just start spinning up servers, that cost can ramp massively very quickly. So from our managed cloud perspective, what we try and do is manage the overall cost effectiveness of the customer's spend in the cloud. For example, can you turn the server off overnight? If your environment only needs the server running during the day, during the business day, why not turn it off at 7 o'clock? And you potentially could save 30% or 33% of your spend on that server because it's not actually running. You don't get charged for your compute or your storage. You will get charged for storage. You won't get charged for compute and memory. But it can just be idle, and then you can turn it on if needs be. So yeah, that's the overall managed services stack as it is at the moment. It's quite comprehensive, and it offers quite a few different options for a customer on their journey to the cloud, or if they decide to stay in on-prem. Next up, I just want to highlight a couple of things about managed IT. So probably the foremost on this particular slide is that we're a Microsoft Gold partner. We've worked quite hard on that. What it means is that we've got certified engineers in both Office 365 and Azure. And with those certifications, we become a Gold partner, which gives us a different level of engagement with Microsoft. So we've got access to things like premium support and a whole bunch of other technical resources for onboarding customers. So and part of that is the 365 migration that we do. We do that in conjunction with Microsoft. They give us support on things like migration tools if we need them, and also just general technical advice when it comes to those migrations, particularly more complicated Azure migrations and that sort of thing. We're also a cabling partner, so if you've got any customers that need cabling, we can do that. We outsource the majority to an external party that we've been using for many, many years. Very, very good cabling partner. We've got a different partner in Cape Town that we use, that we're also very happy with. But if you need 1 or 2 points, we've also got a cabling engineer on our side that can do the sort of 1 to 2 to 3 points. Max is about 3 points. After that, we get it outsourced. But if you have a customer that needs a point moved, that sort of thing, come chat to us. We can get our engineer involved. We've got a team of skilled engineers. So everywhere from 365 certified, Windows Server certified, like I said earlier, Azure certified. We've actually got 7 Azure certified engineers at the moment. We've got that whole stack. We've got some VM certified engineers. We're busy working on some VMware certified engineers. So we can do pretty much the end-to-end stack. Plus, we also obviously have Fortinet engineers certified in our team. We manage users all over South Africa. So just because the company happens to be in Port Elizabeth or East London, it doesn't matter from our perspective. We can manage it because most of the support we can actually do remotely. And we can also send engineers out from the normal Vox offices if we need to for things that we can't get to the machine, for example. And then, as I touched on earlier, we've migrated over 4,500 mailboxes to Office 365. It really is quite a success story in our side. The biggest migration was 1,000 users to Office 365. It did take a few months because of the volume of data that had to move into the cloud, but it was completely seamless. They didn't actually know that they were busy migrating until right at the end when it pops up and says, "Yeah, you've migrated." Then, let me move this up quickly. This is just a graph quickly to show you the potential of managed services at a customer. So this is a potential 50 user customer. They've already signed fiber. They've got their fiber installed, and we're going to sell them a couple of other different options. So we've sold them a firewall. We've sold them email security. We've sold them some host devices. We've sold them some VMs, some backup, and that totals 32,000 Rand a month for that customer. And that's without any managed services. That's just the other products. Now, if you're going to add managed services to that, different things like the managed network, firewall, managed email security, managed desktop, you end up with another 23,000 Rand a month. So on that deal, it moves up to 55,000 Rand a month, which should be quite a nice deal size. So where do you go from here? So SharePoint's your friend. There's a lot of collateral on SharePoint. In the next couple of days, there'll be some more information. There's battle cards, product sheets, PowerPoint presentations for you to use. Speak to your sales specialists. They know the managed IT space. They can help you in scoping a solution. You can also speak to our solution architects if you need. If it's particularly complicated environment that you need to have a chat to them. To Constant, Reno, and a new guy that started today, Craig. They can assist on the solution architect side, and then book an assessment for us to go and see the customer. The guys will sit down with the customer, go through the questionnaire, find out all the steps that need to be taken, and we can move on getting the customer onboarded. So the message I want to leave with you guys today is Vox does IT. It's not well known, and I want everybody to understand that it become more well known that we do IT. Okay, thanks guys. That's my presentation. We've got time for some questions, so if you've got any questions, fire away. Okay, looks like not too many questions. So that's the story for the day. Hope you guys found that useful. It is recorded, so if you guys want to go back and listen to it again, you can. And yeah, let's go and sell some MIT. Thanks. Bye.